uh, and I'll share this in our group. So welcome everybody. Just one of our early calls talking about my most trusted and how to get involved. One thing that I'm going to announce today is that Maltix is going to purchase and work with my most trusted on a white label. So in other words, it'll be branded to Maltix, and all our adjoining VAs from around the world will have free access using the search criteria and the send criteria, the information that we require to be sent, and you'll be paid to do that every week. The rest of us, professionals with their own businesses, will subscribe through the Maltix platform. So not really sure how it's going to work in with existing subscriptions. So it can be as a subscription for somebody who just wants to be involved with my most trusted, or it can be somebody who's full on with their own business and they want to go through the Maltix platform, because the support services that we want to put in place here for this platform will grow and grow. So what happened 5 years or so ago was that I used to work with a consultant in the UK, and he was like my mentor in my early days. We actually, one of the most important things I ever did was remove his mentoring from my life. Interesting conversation that, because the reason was that he was absolutely stuck in the world of websites and MailChimp and newsletters, and he just couldn't see or wouldn't see my vision. So I had to change my mentoring to change my vision, how I wanted it. So that was an interesting thing to do. So just towards the end of our relationship, he sent me this link, and it was my most trusted that came in on LinkedIn. And I thought, well, that looks interesting. So I kind of signed up for things because it was the early days of getting involved with my most trusted. I'd never seen it before, and it was Scott's early days as well. And we were, although I didn't realise at the time, I was part of his tribe, and Francois was part of that tribe as well. So we embarked on the journey of learning and experimentation. And in fact, I pushed the limits of experimentation so much that I was banned from LinkedIn. Bit unfortunate, to say the least. But there you are. And then even now, I've tried to try get back involved with them, but they're not interested because I did ghastly things. I think actually all I did do, which you can't make the mistake of anymore because the system won't let you, was accidentally sent out more invitations than I should have in a 24-hour period. And I think probably what happened, I sent 20 in the morning, forgot that I did it, probably sent 20 out in the same evening, and they banned me. But you can't do that anymore. So the way this works, in my mind, and I'm going to be interested to hear Francois's view of of how I've interpreted this from my memory, because obviously I'm not involved. I can't get into the platform anymore because I can't get into LinkedIn. That's why Morris is picking up the mantle here. But the important thing is that you can select exactly who you want to send invitations to. So in other words, you can I'll just mute Francois. You can send invitation. So as an example, and Morris will help me with this, if we were going to send out invitations for our new food delivery app, for example, who are we going to target? Well, we're going to target the captains of hospitality. So Morris, give me an idea of who you might have in mind to do that.
Right. So firstly, if we're talking about the new hospitality app, it's a them, not an it.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing we do is segment the market. I'm talking in classical terms now, but it will help you. So the first thing we do is segment the marketplace.
All right.
So we have conference centers, big hotels, little hotels, restaurants, and takeaways.
Okay.
And actually, in theory, burger vans.
Yep. Talking
Okay.
about yesterday.
So if so those are all different, and in fact, they would have slightly different apps.
Yeah.
So what you do is you say, okay, today or for the next week or whatever, we're going to concentrate on restaurants for the sake of argument. Okay. Now, classically, I would go to core data and I'd say, okay, can you give me a database of a thousand restaurants within 25 miles of Staines? And they would give me a database with filtered out with just those people on it. Yep. Now you don't send an email to all thousand, and you certainly don't do that on MMT. What you do is you say, okay, I'm going to do so many a day. So you slice it up, and every day you do the same thing. So the next thing you do is say, well, okay, in a restaurant, who really matters? Now, to some extent, the executive chef does, but in fact, there's nearly always an owner. So it would be, so give me 1,000 restaurant owners, and I might say in restaurants with more than 20 covers, I might just say restaurants, yeah, and I get those. Now on my most trusted, you can go into LinkedIn and say, give me profiles for all those people who have said they are restaurant owners
Yeah.
or restaurant founders,
Yes.
which will do the same thing, yeah, except that you now have them in MMT form, not email form and mail form and so on. With a database, you could send them a mail, you could send them an email, you could phone them and so on. With my most trusted, what you get is to their profile, so you have to contact them through the channel that is LinkedIn, and the same would be true on any social media, yeah. So what else is there about the avatar? So we know we want to talk to the owner of the restaurant, but because he's going to spend the money. Yeah. We might want them in certain areas, or we might want to say, well, okay, can we find out those who have a takeaway service? Because if we're looking at selling them the delivery part, or you say, okay, give me a database, and can you split that database down into those that have a delivery service, those that have a takeaway service, and those that don't? And you then approach that sector with a message targeted for that situation.
So is
We've
this
got a
we
great,
call a
we've got a great new app. It'll fill your spare tables at time of need. We've got a great app. It'll allow you to use your kitchen more often by selling to people who aren't sitting in the restaurant. We've got a great app. We've got it because now we can use your kitchen at time when people want it delivered, but they're not gonna come from they're not gonna start a meal at 9 o'clock at night. So you can offer them a delivery service. So in each case, you tailor what you do to the avatar of what you're looking at, but you can decide what that is in advance. So you can do it the other way around. You can say, okay, today we're going to try to sell people the version of the app that has a delivery service bolted onto it. So give me all those restaurants that have a delivery that provide takeaway food or delivered food, and if that data exists, then so this is how you target. And this is why I've said many, many, many times that our databases, sooner rather than later, need to have a field in the data. Well, I call it, this is Bob. Now, if you're working with me and you're my VA, I could say to you, well, I want to go for the weekend with Bob, and you're completely lost unless, along with my name, my address, my phone number, and everything else, there's a thing said that, or we go to Bob's record, and among his stuff, at the bottom there's a panel, and it says he's married to Janet. The dog is called Molly. He lives in Scarborough. He likes model boats and so on. But for a business, we do this. So in other words, it's like the description you would get in a catalogue for a business, and it's about the business. But you can use an AI search on your database to pull down all those businesses who in their description have said, we do this, this, and this, or we want to do this, this, and this.
So
Yeah.
from a global point of view, that because what Morris has been describing is what they call a Boolean search. So this search criteria that we allocate per VA will be very specific. This week we're going to do this geography, and we're going to send out these messages. And that can be geographical. So, for example, we can say, okay, Sarah, you're going into Australia this week, and Jane, you're going to New Zealand, and we can actually split it up. We can say, okay, we're all going to the UK. Sarah, you're going to take Edinburgh. Jane's going to take Manchester, and Morris is
Um,
going to take Leeds.
Hands up those who spotted something interesting about what Will's just said. What is it, Sarah? You're muted.
Um, the interesting thing about what Wills just said is that it's traveling.
Okay, you're breaking up on us. You might need to
So
go. You might need.
traveling for me, it's just
Yeah,
in
Well, the thing is this. That what I'm saying is he's just said places that are in completely different time zones. Now, if the optimum time to send somebody an email is 10 o'clock in the morning, yeah, or 11 o'clock on a Thursday morning is the best time to send an email, then you have to take into account that the target time zone is not where you are. So when you set up when you're going to send the message, and you might start a message for Australians, instead of saying, hi, Mike, you might start it with, g'day, Mike, have I got a bonza proposition for you, mate? Um, Kind of depending, but we tailor what we do to what and how the customer is.
yeah.
Always. It's always about them. We come second.
And the messaging, you'll see that the messaging that Morris provides for you will very, very specifically be what's in it for me. Not we're not pitching Maltix.
Well, you see, God. Okay. So I say this 100 times. So people are only motivated by rewards, threats, and curiosity, and I wouldn't use threats for the moment until you've done the advanced bit of this. So don't. So use rewards and curiosity, and from their perspective. Yes? Culturally, if I was talking to each of you in a culturally appropriate way, I would be talking in the ways and mannerisms of the society in which you exist, and or the family or tribe or culture or whatever that matches you, and I would be trying as closely as possible. That's why I can say thank you in about 30 different languages, but nothing else. No, seriously. Because when I meet somebody, I can say hello, goodbye, and thank you. It drives takeaways here absolutely nuts when they give me the food and I go, chakram. Oh, they go, what? What? I am obviously not Muslim, you know. But what I'm doing is matching their ideas, their word sets. So I'm trying to be in their shoes because you have to tell them what's in it for them, either in terms of a reward or making them curious. Not the way, not not from our perspective, but from theirs. So you have to know what the perspective is, which means you have to understand the avatars you're sending it to. And at the back of your head, I mean, I always do it at the back of my head. if I was sat in a pub or a cafe or whatever it would be in their world, and we're across the table from a Turkish coffee or a shisha or whatever, pastis, I would be matching that and talking in those terms to them and telling them what's in it for them, or saying, so if it's a restaurant, so you employ your kitchen staff, and they come in about what, 8 o'clock, and they go home about midnight. Well, yeah, no, and but is there an enormous gap during the middle of the day when they're not doing anything? Yeah, well, what if I had a way of filling that gap for you for not really that much cost?
Yeah, or maybe a hotel, Mr. Hotelier. What if we could provide a system for you for a food delivery room service app with a butler service, where you just simply provide somebody in a mini kitchen and an air fryer a scaled down menu, but actually offers food off service. So
So
if you got a
so
buffet
we
that's
so we so why don't we increase the revenue? So what if we could increase the revenue of guests who don't use the restaurant?
simple,
Oh, now I know that's called room service, and you know that's called room service. Or they go, yeah, but how on earth would you do that? And I say, well, what if you could provide a limited menu, but nonetheless a decent menu of food and beverages 24/7 in the rooms? What
um,
if you could provide, but what if you could provide the same thing when they're out enjoying the facilities of your estate? Would that increase the assets you're making on this rather lovely but expensive building? Yeah.
yeah.
Or um, you can always just say, well, I've got a way of making more profits for you. I get more sophisticated than that and go, but because I'm a salesman, you wouldn't want to talk about it anyway, so not to worry. Um, and I know what will
You
happen.
take
I
the
won't
wall.
I won't get out the door. But the other way of doing it is to say, we work with lots of hotels. We notice that a number of them would like more revenue, and they notice that not everybody uses their restaurant. And we found a way of leveraging that to earn money. Would you like to hear more about that? Yeah. But what I've done is I put myself in the space of the general manager or the owner or whatever, and worked out the kind of things that are their pain and what they need. But you have to do that for just about every single call.
And let's be clear about this from a VA's perspective, because Sarah's listening in here. Maltix will provide everything that you need to operate the system, sending 20 invitations a day from your LinkedIn account or your colleagues' LinkedIn accounts. Okay, some of you expressed that you'd like to run up to 5 accounts. That's good news. So in other words, you're subcontracting to 4 other people and sharing the revenue between them. Now, from a start point of view for a VA, there's a fixed amount of money, a relatively small amount of money until we get ourselves established to encourage you not only to get involved with sending 20 invitations a day, but getting involved in groups within LinkedIn off your own accord.
But
Yes.
but the thing is this, and we have discussed it, but not recently. What I would like to happen is, if you're involved in this whole exercise with MMT and generating new clients, you get all, provided that it's within your skill set, and we can make sure that eventually it will be, but provided it's in your skill set, I would want whoever raised the inquiry to actually do all the ongoing VA work for that client. So we assign that. So you find them, we assign them to you. So whatever they spend, you get residual income from that, not just in terms of the monthly fees, but in terms of using VA services. And if you sell them more of your VA services, then that's whatever it is per hour on top of that.
Yeah, because we've got shops.
Because if you find them, you get to keep them as your clients.
Yeah, we've got shops for all the different disciplines of VAs, technical, clerical, design, search engine optimization, DISC profile. There's all sorts of, and they are Maltix controlled shops.
And one and
And
once you've got them,
yeah,
yeah, then we teach you how to send them a Christmas card and how to send them a birthday card and how to talk to them every couple of months about how what they've got is going and whether they need the latest and greatest thing that you can do for them. Hi, how are things going? Happy New Year. By the way, we just launched a new service. Do you want me to send you something over about it?
yeah,
And if you've established a relationship with them, they're almost always going to say yes, yes, of course. You say, well, it might not be for you, but we now do this. But the thing is, if you say to them, but of course, and part of that relationship is to say, look, thank you very much indeed for taking up our services. If you know somebody else that you think could use this or one of the other things we do, I'd be really grateful if you could just put us in touch. Yeah.
yeah,
So then the people that you do the VA work for spreads out. So it's not as simple as we're finding clients for the company. I want you to benefit from doing it. And from our perspective, it doesn't matter which VA does the work. From yours, it does. And again, if there's gaps in what you know or how you want to approach it or whatever, then I will be quite happy to teach you, take you through exercises, do visualization to change your mindset or whatever it takes. Because we can only be successful if everybody is.
absolutely. Yeah.
That, and I can't. All I can do is say it, but you'll have to wait to see whether we deliver on that or not. But I certainly will if I possibly can. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, we've got 6 minutes to go. I don't think there's much point in opening this up to questions, but I just want this to be like a little introduction so we can then post it in the group. Everybody can listen, and then we'll have consequential meets like this as well, because we're going to be sharing lots and lots more information, and obviously the Maltix platform and how you're getting on setting up your own platform for your own business if that's what you want to do.
There's
Yeah,
there is a mindset thing that you might want to start with and don't be afraid of calling yourself a salesperson. It's the second oldest profession in the world because how do you think the first profession got the business? Um, I'm afraid there was one of us kicking, and I'm happy to say I'm a salesman, yeah. But there was one of us kicking around just after the first one started. Believe me.
for sure.
But there's a thing in our world that says always be closing. So you can start with them saying, "Well, I've got this proposition. I think it'll work because I've done my research and I think I know what your company's like, and I think it's a good fit. Would you like to hear more?" Yes, I would. No, I don't. So you don't? Is that because you're not interested, or because you know enough to buy right now? Ha ha ha. But it doesn't matter if you laugh and if you make out that it's funny, because you'd be surprised the number of people who go, well, actually, yeah, just where do I sign up? You go, here's the link. If you don't want to fill in the link for you, but you're a VA, so you say, here's the link. Do you want to do it yourself, or shall I show you what I do as a VA?
And please, well, don't ever be intimidated by the quality of people that you're talking to. We never put app in the crap. We're not talking to juniors here. We're only going to be talking to senior people, owners, senior directors, maybe even chairmen of companies, people with real influence. Okay, because although we're a technical company, we're not going to be talking to technical people because it turns into a bun fight. We want to talk to people who own 3 hotels and say, do you know what? This sounds bloody good. I think we'll go for this. and they've got the power to actually dismiss their own tech team or go around their own tech team because they're going to take this
But,
technology on board.
but if you know it's an own, if you think it's not an owner, yeah, then you can always say, the only thing is that it's probably only worth me talking. You have to be very careful, but you could probably say it might not be interesting if you're an owner, unless you own it. It might not be it might not be of interest. But let's see whether it's worth your while to take it to your owner that as and sell it as your idea if you like.
That's another takeaway.
I want to help you make more money and do more business.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you need to understand who else is eventually you need to understand who else is in on the decision.
yeah.
One way of doing that is to get an agreement early on to send them something, because if they're not admitting that there's an owner above them, they'll 9 times out of 10, if it makes sense to them, they'll pass it on. But
Yeah.
it's a big and complicated thing, and I can't cover it all in an hour. But I can't underline this bit enough, and that is, if you're not sure or you want to have tackling something you've met, for heaven's sake, talk to Will or I. I've run into this. I've run into this objection. I've done this. I've done. This has happened. This has happened. This has happened. Come to us, and we'll talk you through it. We'll teach you a way around it. We'll come up with a new version of something for you to use. But don't just suffer in peace or write it off or say it doesn't work. Come to us, and we'll see if we can fix it.
And we're one of the few companies who revel in the idea of the board talking to everybody all the way down to the
How
jam.
much time have we got, Will?
We've got 1 minute.
Okay. At some future occasion, talk to me about ostriches.
There you go.
Because that's one way round the people who go, well, that's not going to happen to me. It's on my website on the sayings of Morris if you really want to find it.
Okay, so just so everybody knows what we do, this call is downloaded. It gets uploaded to YouTube. I put it into the knowledge base, and I distribute it. So that knowledge base is your tool as well as ours. It's departmentalized for future visits from our clients, and eventually we're going to offer 24/7, 365-day support through the chat room and through AOSS. So thank you for joining us today. I'll call this call to an end. And please, questions, whatever's on your mind, post it in our dedicated My Most Trusted group, and let's crack on. And we hope to
And the easiest people to talk to live within 2 kilometers of where you do.
great. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks, Francois.